Thank you very much for the invitation to be present here. I will try to upload the presentation. If I can, I will ask Joanna to
Load
help
adesso
me.
della mia presentazione. La cabina italiana che conferma se i partecipanti stanno sentendo.
Okay, I think you can see it. Yes.
Ok, mi state sentendo?
Okay, thank you. I will give you a little overview of Portuguese cooperation.
Vi darò un attimo una
um,
panoramica di quella che è la cooperazione.
Oh, excuse me, just one question. How can I stop translation? I'm here in Italian.
Someone has the microphone still open. Please close your microphone, please. Thank you, everybody. Let's move on. Thank you, Claudia.
Giacomo, excuse me, just one question. I'm hearing in Italian translation.
No, there was someone with
Okay.
the open microphone.
Thank
you can go now.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, everyone. I'm glad to be here for showing you a little bit of Portuguese cooperation. We'll do an overview of a cooperation, especially with the French, because it's the best example that Portuguese cooperation has in regarding to posting of workers. Looking to the definition of posting of workers, you see that posted worker, it means for us, and almost in every country, that that worker works for a limited period of time in another member state than that he usually works. That means that we have here a Portuguese posted worker that goes to another country. That means that when we want to do an intervention or be complied with the rules, we have some difficulties that we find when facing this kind of problem. The problem is that this labor contract for this posted of worker will be having sets of rules from two different member states. Portuguese labor inspection can act until the value of a Portuguese salary, and most of the time the complaints of the workers and the complaints that comes to the Portuguese labor inspection from other partners like social partners regard especially to the retribution of the workers and to the working hours, and with the effects on these working hours that applies to the retribution of the workers. That means that we need the information regarding these working hours or absence to the work, leaves, and another kind of matters regarding to the hours. But as the worker is working in another member state, these documents usually are there with the employer, and that can be only seen by the other inspection in the other member states. Even if you want to act, there is a delay in the sharing of this information between member states, and that affects the efficiency of the inspection and its results. This is what we find over the years. That's why we need to find another way to make this intervention more efficiency. Even when the IMI system begin to enter in use, and that helped a lot in the intervention regarding to posting of workers, there were a lot of constraints. There are better now, but even so, we find these constraints because of the use of the language. Even with the translation in the IMI system, there are gaps in the information. Then we have in Portuguese organization a real difficulty regarding the posting of workers. That is that the Portuguese inspection has to share some competence regarding these interventions with social security inspection. There are these two entities that must intervene when regarding of posting of workers, especially regarding to the retribution. Besides that, we have different organizations in other member states. We don't always know how we must do the intervention. Who is in the other side? There are member states that only have authorities that are competent in health and safety, others that share competence with another entities, others are the competences are shared for a lot of organizations, different organizations. We have, for instance, Germany, who has competence on the level of the federal states, and then in the lands, they call the lands, they are divided in. It's very difficult to know on the other side who has the competence regarding of posting of workers. We found that it was necessary to close cooperation with the member states where we have posted workers, so we can achieve efficiency on our intervention. How do we do that? Besides knowing where our most part of posted workers were, we use a lot of information. To the IMI system, to the posting declarations, to the A1 forms. Yes, because Portugal has always had a previous posting declarations from the Portuguese companies who posted workers outside. So we know where they are, what the most countries they posted workers are. We also know about this for social partners, for the employees who made complaints. So we identified the countries where we had the most relevant number of posted workers. When we did that, we started to do close cooperations with these workers. And now I will give the floor to my colleague, Claudia, who will explain how we managed to get these agreements. Claudia?
Good morning. It's a pleasure to participate in this workshop. I will give you some information related to our most important kinds of agreements, especially on what concerns posting of workers. So to simplify, sorry, I'm hearing some interpretation
Sto sentendo altre
in Italian. Is someone with the micro on?
Yeah.
Sì.
Now it isn't anymore. Go, Claudia.
Okay. So I'll go on. So to simplify, once the needs for cooperation have been identified, we will carry on the procedures until the agreements are signed. And we have, in a simplified way, as I already said, two types of agreements: the institutional agreements and government-sponsored agreements. Please keep in mind that we are a national authority, so our nature is a bit different of other kinds of organizations like social partners, and you will understand that we have perhaps some different kinds of agreements. So how can I go forward in the
Kátia.
Okay, thank you, Kátia. So we have institutional agreements. This means that they are signed between counterpart institutions. They take in mind the interests of each institution per se. So they allow more flexibility in defining the terms and the activities, because as a services and institutions, we have a little more independence as the other kind of agreements. They have a higher level of informality. They are more reactivity rather than proactive in the cooperation activities and procedures. And they may be under greater financial constraints. Kátia, please. Thank you. The government-sponsored agreements are signed between governments and homologous ministries. They establish normally a steering committee that allow better cooperation procedures like follow-ups and reports. They have greater formality in planning because they usually develop joint activity plans. You will take notice of that later. That allow also greater effectiveness and efficiency and greater proactivity. They may also facilitate the use of cooperation instruments that are available, especially in the European Union and also sometimes the ILO, that give us financial support and logistical support. We have the two best examples of government-sponsored agreements that Portugal has is with Spain in a much wider range than posting of workers, and with France on what regards posting of workers. So I'm very happy to see that Francisco will follow on the next slot to explain our agreement. We have been both the focal points for our Portuguese and Spanish agreement for the last 7-8 years. So I will not speak about that. I will only give a clue to Francisco that our agreement with Spain started as institutional, because both inspections, they defined the needs. We had an institutional agreement, but in the way, it suffered an upgrade to a government-sponsored agreement, because both governments felt that it was important to establish that cooperation on a higher level. And then we have the agreement on administrative cooperation between the Ministry of Labor of the French Republic and the Ministry of Labor, Solidarity and Social Security of the Portuguese Republic, specifically on the posting of workers and undeclared work, that was signed in November 2017. And I will pass to Kátia again to carry on with the overview of our agreement in this context of this agreement with the French colleagues. Kátia.
You have to turn on the micro, Kátia, please.
Okay. Oh, I'm using a device that should activate the sound. Okay. As Claudia explained, the French agreement, the Portuguese-French agreement on posting of workers is a governmental agreement. That means that has a lot of strength. What have we done? This agreement has a steering committee that is on this composition, the General Labor Inspector from Portugal and France, and they decide what we are going to do with this agreement. Besides that, it has a small team, small technical team that then will define what is the cooperation, what are the tasks, the program that we will use in this cooperation to give it some efficiency. This is an overview of the activities that we already have done. Some of them had to be postponed because of this pandemic crisis. If it was not, we already have done a lot of other things, but it was like everyone who had to delay this program. Okay, but we have meetings, the steering committee and the proximity team that is composed by labor inspectors from both countries, have meetings to define what to do, what tasks to do, what should be the next steps. I'll show you some of the meetings and some of the events we already have done. Now I cannot. Okay. The proximity agents are responsible to get together, define what is the most important tasks to do regarding of posting of workers. We also talk to each other to specify some rules, some difficulty to apply rules, some interpretation of the rules. We have discussed some of the differences between the interpretation of the rules on posting that we have. We have achieved some understanding about some of the rules that were a little bit undefined between us. We share information about how to inspect regarding posting of workers, and we try to get the best practices from each other and to define how we can better exchange information. We do that by explain that when we do an IMI request, that we should, what we should ask one each other. We simplified the requests and say, please ask us what is the important to you. Don't use all the questions you have on the IMI system. Please tell us on the messages what is the most important things to you. And this become very important so that the IMI system is very best used in this case with friends.
Kátia, I would ask you to move a little bit quicker so that we can keep to the schedule. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. This is the team that is set now. It already took place and should have taken place again, except due to the COVID, it had been postponed. It has these goals. I'll pass because I was saying that already. The results, it's been wonderful because we have get together and really find this cooperation very important because it allows us to step a lot of rules that we defined to do this intervention, and it's been understood for us that it's been very useful to get these meetings. We had, on the other hand, we set us to do a lot of information dissemination. We had a wonderful seminar in Lisbon that was very found very useful for everyone that attended this seminar. We had a lot of invitations, international invitations to that attended to this seminar, and it was very important for us to do this because we understood that giving information to all the stakeholders in the posting of workers, it makes this useful for them, and less infringements are made to the rules. We had all the perspectives in this seminary. We also invited university researchers, stakeholders like social partners, both from the employees and the employers. We had another inspections present to present us their perspective. We had a lot of teams discussed, even one that nobody talks when regarding of posting of workers. That is we call it RIS, the taxes. Okay, that they have to pay, and always have some doubts because they are normally taxed in both countries. We also one of the activities that we developed was the creation of documents to inform the workers and the social partners and everyone involved, and we had these documents translated to both languages, and we also disseminate this information in our website. The French do the same. They also have an information document about Portugal that is translated to French, so that they can inform their companies and employees about the rules of posting in Portugal. And we have the same in our website. And this is important because this prepares the companies and the employees to know the rules applying in both countries. We are now trying to pass to the next activity. It was not yet possible because of the pandemic. That is to concert joint inspections between Portugal and France, there and here, if it is necessary. And we think that doing inspections together will be most useful for us and for them to rapidly attack the infringements on posting of workers. Okay, and I'll this is the end because I know it's passing the time. Thank you, Joanna.